Vision journeying is something which is fundamentally built on the ability to generate uh, a complete visual landscape within your mind, which is almost entirely distinct from the physical world which you're experiencing in every moment of your life. It's often compared to dreaming, where your body is asleep and completely unaware of its surroundings, and your mind and your sense of awareness is immersed in a landscape which, depending on your understanding, is completely generated by the mind and is at the very least disconnected from the physical reality. And to initiate this process without falling asleep and um, without the total relaxation of the body, which occurs when you fall asleep, you need to develop the ability to visualize things. And to the extent that you can learn to visualize more and more vivid things and more vivid, visionscapes, landscapes, whatever you want to call it. To the extent that you can do that, you can pass more fully into the, well, wherever it is that you're journeying, you know. And I'm not at a stage, point where I can explain too clearly how to do this development and how to achieve this ability to visualize things, but I I want to describe at least my in this video a component of my experience which yields this highly immersive vision. So it starts with being able to, hmm, yes, I think it starts with being able to um, get your body into uh, a meditative posture of some type. This is essentially one of the goals of yoga, and by extension, a goal in Buddhism, is to find a position that your body can be in where it can be very relaxed and um, not there's no points in which your joints are compromised. So if you can't sit cross-legged comfortably, that wouldn't qualify as a position where you can do this, because over time your legs would fall asleep and your essentially the energy from those parts of your body would get cut off. And but once you're able to do this, where you can essentially be aware of your whole body and have your whole body be very still, you can enter into, hmm, well, it it allows for the state which I'm going to describe, I guess. Because I found that in the highly immersive states of internal visualization, there's a phenomenon that happens where the perception of the body takes the place of visual perception in the physical world. And so where normally we see the physical world with our eyes and we perceive all sorts of shapes and forms and colors, this process occurs when our eyes are closed, and instead of perceiving shapes and forms and colors with our eyes, we perceive it with the tactile sense of our body. And so it's almost as though the body is no longer um, it's able to feel the tactile sensations of the outside world, but because those are no longer as important as the internal perception, the internal sensations, the the mind and body together can enter into a different state where the internal tactile sensations of the body take the place of the visual data that we would normally perceive from the outside world. And so it's almost as though there is an invisible eye which is present in your body, perhaps in your heart or in your brain, or it could be anywhere else. But from that location, you now look at the inside of your body. And the inside of your body, rather than being, um, well, essentially random noise like you would normally experience, it begins to shape into a visual landscape. And if you've ever seen the paintings where it'll be like a yogi who's sitting and it's like the outline of his body, but then all over his body there's drawings of like heavenly worlds or of people walking around and doing things. It's very similar to that. And it feels as though your body and its shape, the shape of your body is still there, but the internal workings of it have transformed into a vivid visual landscape, which in its size is miles wide, or in some cases, maybe a bit smaller. I don't know. This isn't something that I have too much like mastery over or anything. This is sort of something that I've seen a few times. Um, but in theory, this allows for a type of stability in the visualization, which simply can't be achieved when the visuals are completely happening within your brain. Because maybe a more traditional way of generating these types of visions is to essentially cut off, to disconnect your brain from your body in a way that you close your eyes and you don't think about your body at all. You just think about your brain and you try to imagine this thing or that thing. And it's usually what people think of as the mind's eye, that type of thing. But there's a great limitation to this because we don't realize that throughout such a process of just the brain visualizing things, the brain is never actually separate from the body. And so as long as the body is a component of the brain in that way, and as long as the brain is receiving data from the body, there's always going to be a large amount of chaos and noise, which is getting put into the brain and has to be essentially pushed away and ignored in order for the mind-only visualization to persist. And so through keeping the brain and the body completely in sync, and essentially having the body be an extension of the brain, you can generate visions that they're not separated from the physical world, and actually can blend with it, and they essentially it replaces a state of visualization and separation from the world with a state of connection with the world, and yet visualization which is completely distinct from it, where you can be sitting in a room and you're sitting on the ground and you feel your legs on the ground, but you also are having a completely immersive vision where you're on another planet, where you're flying through the sky or wherever you want to be. And through this process you never actually leave the room, and yet your mind is completely free to go wherever it wants. Hmm. Yeah, this is more of a hmm. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about it, I guess. There's this is more just painting a picture of something that's possible, and maybe one day I'll learn a bit more about how to explain how to do this and things that can contribute to it. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Actually, I'll make a little bit of a video journal type thing. The I haven't thought too much more about if I want to do like a series of videos for like a hypothetical course. But when I was thinking about making this particular video, I was considering if it would be if a good course would be teaching astral projection, like teaching people how to initiate vision journeys and yeah, to essentially do that yeah, like traveling out of your body type thing. I'm very hesitant to say astral projection because I've talked to somebody about it a while back, and it sounded like what I'm actually doing with the vision journey type things, kind of it was introduced to me as shamanic journeying. I think that is something different from astral projection, at least based on what the person told me. Which I can't remember uh, how much personal experience that guy had. I think he was kind of a stranger, but I think I'll um, I'll maybe want to avoid saying astral projection too much before I really know that I'm talking about the same thing. But at the very least, it has the same results. Like if you get good at this type of journeying, this internal visualization of independent scapes, you can yeah, you can experience some very interesting things. And I'll leave it at that. I'm definitely not going to talk too much about the direct like results and like places I've been to in quotation marks because it's not necessarily like a physical places you go. But I think I'll generally keep to um, yeah, things that are indirectly describing the experience. Where like this is something that goes along with the experience that what I was talking about of essentially transforming the bodily perceptions into visual perceptions is um is a side effect in a lot of ways where the goal is the visual experience and the method is the way of stilling the body and essentially bringing it to a state where this process is possible. But kind of the outward description of what has occurred is really what I talked about in this video, where it's not just from hearing this, you're probably not going to be able to do like from scratch. You could probably never figure out how to get this, but if you are already close to this, like you can reach meditative states of stillness and have some amount of what do you call it, visual acuity, internal visual acuity. If you have these things already, you can maybe piece together what I'm talking about and use this as part of your practice. But otherwise, I hope this was just an interesting musing to hear about. But yeah, yeah, that's about it. I'll yeah, I hope you enjoyed and yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, peace.